Smarterfan. Smarterfan. Yeah. Smarterfan.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another segment of Smarter Fan Podcast, where all aspects of sports are on the table. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you doing, Barry?
I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive and well.
Hey.
What's going on, Joe?
Oh, a lot of crazy stuff going on. I wanted to
What are we
talk
talking
about
about tonight?
football and gambling, the NFL and gambling. Now, it's becoming rather an issue because you got training camp is about 2 weeks away now. And now the NFL is handing down these suspensions because guys, either they're not getting it, or I'm not a gambler, so the rules seem simple to me. But it just seems like they're either not getting it or they're not, just not paying attention because so far there have been 9 suspensions. 7 of them are season long.
Wow.
2 of them are 6 games. Now, the 7 season long ones, those are for guys that gambled on football. And the 2 6-game suspensions are for guys that didn't gamble on football, but were at the facility, the team facility, when they did it. So now, because what they're doing is these platforms have what they call geolocators, where they know where these guys are betting, who's betting, when. So they can't they can't have anybody bet for them because somehow they find out that too. And they can't bet even at the hotels on the road.
No.
So this is becoming an issue, and a couple of guys have been cut because of this. And I don't know. It just seems like I was saying, it's kind of a slippery slope, I think, to incorporate gambling into football or into the sport. Especially you're gonna have the Super Bowl in Vegas next year, the gambling capital. So it's just I don't know. It just seems like you're telling them, okay.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
The NFL is embracing gambling and getting in bed with these platforms, and I don't know whether either they're not clear on the rules, or like I said, or the players are just ignoring the rules.
Would you like my 2 cents?
Yes.
Okay. My 2 cents is, let me take you a little bit behind the veil. All right. So the behind the veil is, no matter how much money you make, you only get 18 checks. So if you make $20 million a year, it's broken up into 18 checks for the season. And then if you make the playoffs, and you get those checks, all right? So if you're not good at managing your money, you're going to end up broke. And so that's what a lot of these guys, unfortunately, have gotten themselves into. A lot of them, that's part of it. Of not understanding how to manage their money through the season and so forth and so on. And I'm not telling you something I've heard. I know personal people in this who's gone through this, right?
Well, Gail Sayers used to say that all the time.
Say what?
Gail Sayers used to say, how can these guys make millions of dollars and always be broke? That's what the question he used to always ask.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not that hard, actually. If you don't know how to manage money and you're see, there's two signs that often happens. I have a friend of mine who used to be an agent, and so he would tell
Mhm.
me and say, Barry, the reason why a lot of this happens is guys buy things they really can't afford, and then they buy
Yeah.
things they really can't maintain. So you may be
Mhm.
able to afford the Bentley, but you can't maintain it because the brake job is $5,000. The
Yep.
transmission may be $10,000, right? So
Mhm.
if you're then you go and buy a gargantuan house, right?
Mhm.
Cool. But who's going to clean it? Who's going to cut the
Mhm.
lawn? Not you. You're on the road. So you got to hire
Mhm.
people to clean it and maintain this gargantuan house. Then you bought one for mama, right?
Mhm.
And so you're caught up. He says a lot of these guys are just in a death trap financially. And I said,
Yeah.
wow, H, that's really, really deep. And so they end up either their career or they're between contracts or their career or they're ending their career or they didn't manage money. So a lot of this gambling is a stopgap. I always felt that the best way to handle the gambling to prevent this, which should be that okay, because the gambling really doesn't benefit the player, it benefits the owners. It's another
Mhm.
revenue stream for the owners.
Well,
So
yeah.
what I don't understand is why hasn't this been a negotiating point that the players should get a percentage of the gambling revenue to prevent folks from doing what you're talking about. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to take you behind the veil because it's if think about it, if a guy is over leveraged and he knows he's $10,000 in the hole, or he's got a tuition payment, right? Because you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, or a car
Yeah.
payment or whatever, and he can't cover. What do you think he's gonna do? If he's got
Mhm.
$25,000, $30,000, he's gonna think to himself, "Well, I played the game. I know the game. I should be able to make a reasonable." You see what I'm saying? You see
Yeah.
how crazy, and that's
Yeah.
how a lot of these guys get caught up because they're behind because no one their agent their agent didn't tell them they need to learn how to manage their money throughout the season. It happens in NBA. I know of situations in the NBA and so forth and so on. Not Dwight Howard, the other Howard from Michigan, he's who
Mm.
used to play for Miami Heat.
Oh, it escapes me now. I know who you're talking about, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
he probably made more money lending players money in the NBA
Well,
because
see, and that's
he
the
knew
other
how to
thing.
manage his money,
And these guys have these big entourages.
which
You
is
know?
another drain and waste. It's really silly to me. I it's really silly. Why would you be basically being the parent of grown men?
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
don't get it. You know, I don't
yeah,
get it. It doesn't make
yeah.
any sense. I could see you helping your friends out to get on their feet to start a business of their
Right,
own, but
right.
for you to be toting them around like they're your kids, grown men, I've never
I
understood it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
it's
It's not like
it's
you came
it's
in, hey B, I'm flying in, blah blah blah. Cool, no problem. But living with me, you know what I mean? It begins to be strange, as Deion Sanders would say. You know, you know,
yeah, yeah.
But go ahead, man.
It's
Go ahead. You got some good
but it,
stuff tonight.
yeah, it's a slippery slope, and another thing is the one of the rules is don't enter a sports books during the season. Don't play fantasy football daily. Stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. It's like it's simple. These rules to me are simple. They're simple, and these guys just can't follow them. You know?
Well, they can follow them. They just choose not to follow them, and the penalty is going to be severe,
Yeah.
especially because I guarantee you a lot of these. Because I try to share with people, everybody's not in the same tier in the league, right? There's first tier,
Yes.
second
Yes.
tier, and third tier. Second and
Yeah.
third tier are not the superstars. There may be emerging superstars in the second tier. Third
Mhm.
tier is probably special teams, practice squad, guys trying to work their way up, right?
Mhm.
So if you're not clear coming into a locker room and you're looking at vets who've been there a while, who are on their second big contract or third big contract, and then you're trying to measure yourself to them and live like them because you figure you're in the locker room with them and you can
Mhm.
play too, you're going
Mhm.
broke because you don't know what that man's money is and you don't know
Yeah.
how he's managing his money. You see what I'm
Especially
saying?
when especially
Yeah.
when they make the rookies buy the whole team dinner.
Well, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the reality of that is if you structure your stuff right, it ends up being a tax write-off. See, that's
Mm.
what's really killing, hurting a lot of these guys is really lack of financial literacy.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
had a friend of mine whose nephew was going into the league, and he said, there was three things you would tell him, Barry. What would they be? I would say, get a very, very good tax accountant. He said, why?
Mm.
Because the more you keep, the better you are.
Mhm.
I would tell him to do a 44. I would tell him, oh, well, he was thinking about buying mama a house, a big house.
Mhm.
I said, how old is his mother? And does she even want a 10,000 square foot house?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like,
Really.
I never thought about that. I said, maybe a smarter play for mama would be a house that she's comfortable in, that she can maintain, or better yet, put her in a 16, 24 unit nice apartment building,
Yeah.
put her on the top floor penthouse and trick it out and let all those tenants pay her mortgage.
There you go.
And then at the end of your career, buy mama the big house. Now she's got assets, she's got, you know what I'm saying? She's got
Yeah.
resources coming in.
Yeah.
He said, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I said, it ain't rocket science. It's just kind of a little bit of common sense. I know,
Yeah.
and because anytime that money can change. And the third thing I said is to buy the right kind of insurance policy um,
Right.
to protect, purchase, because if you get the right type of insurance policy, you become the bank.
Mhm.
You become the bank. You fund whatever you do. You want to buy the car, buy it from yourself, pay back yourself. You want to buy a house, borrow the money from yourself and structure it like that. And, you know,
Right.
just those basic things, those three things, not anything sexy, anything crazy. And last but not least, I call it the Deion Sanders effect, which is simply figure out a way to add value. If you can
Mhm.
do one thing, you're more valuable if you can do two. You're even more valuable if you can do three. So Dion could catch the ball like a receiver, play DB, and return kicks. He's not
Mhm.
coming. See what I'm saying? So he's getting three checks while most people are getting one on the field.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see what I
Yeah.
mean? And he's
Yeah.
like, wow, wow. Yeah. Because every year you got whatever position you play, every year someone younger, faster, stronger, better is coming for that position. But they may not. I know a guy who played for the Cowboys,
Mhm.
number 91. He played
Okay.
15 years. He was drafted as a linebacker. Guess what he was good at? Long ball snapping, which is
Hey.
one of the hardest things to do in the NFL.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they kick the ball,
Yep.
into the goalpost,
Yeah.
he's the guy. So he mastered that from I guess high school and college. He got
Yeah.
himself a 15-year career in the NFL.
Mm. Hey,
Think
if you
about that. He wasn't drafted number one. You know how many number ones never last past 3 years?
oh,
This guy
yeah.
had a 15-year career because he could do something else at a very high level.
Hey, it's great work if you can get it.
It's great work if you can get it. Pay to eat, pay to stay in shape, pay, you know what I'm saying? Pay to
Yeah.
travel. Not a bad gig.
No. No. You know.
But I
Um.
didn't mean to hold you up. I know the
No.
clock is ticking. What else you got for us?
Well, I wanted to touch on Aaron Judge. His injury. He's out. They don't know when he'll be back now.
Yeah,
So
October.
and the Yankees they limped into the All-Star break.
Yep.
I mean, they had St. Louis. They lost the series to St. Louis. They lost the series to the Cubs. They split with the Orioles, so that dropped them into fourth place. Now the Red Sox are on their ass.
Mhm.
They got one good pitcher and four pitchers that are a crapshoot on any given day.
Mhm.
But the one bright spot is that Domingo Germán pitched a perfect game in the midst of all of this.
Mhm.
And he's only the fourth Yankee to do it. He's only the 24th pitcher in Major League history to do it. And he's the first Dominican-born pitcher to do that. So he's even got Pedro beat.
Wow. That's quite a feat there. That's quite a feat.
Yeah, and this guy, he's had an up and down season. He's had domestic violence issues. He's been suspended a couple of times, and like a couple of days before he pitched this perfect game, his uncle, who he was really close to, died.
Mm.
So he was an emotional wreck, before all of this happened.
Yeah.
And then he goes out there and he pitches a gem in 99 pitches.
Wow.
72 for strikes.
Wow. That guy was pitching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And now I don't know how this will work this time, but the last three Yankee pitchers to throw perfect games, the Yankees won the World Series.
Boy, you, Joe, with this juju. You got this juju all the time going. This juju, you.
So, I just wanted to, he was the one few bright spots that the Yankees have had this year. And I just wanted to put that out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and it's like, well, the Yankees aren't the only ones that got bit by the injury bug, because the Angels lost like all their main players now. Trout is out. He's got a broken wrist. He's out. Ohtani's got a blister on his finger, but he can still DH, but he can't pitch.
Okay.
And Rendon, the third baseman, he's out. So they've got their issues too. So it's not just the Yankees, but that division is it still could be up for grabs between the Angels, the Rangers, and the Astros. I still think the Astros are the dark horse.
Yeah, they're going to be a dark horse. They're going to be the horse that brides it in. I'll tell you that, because they got the best manager.
Yeah. I'll give them that. Because they got a guy now who's no nonsense, and he'll keep their noses to the grindstone. I know that.
Who's that you're talking about?
Dusty Baker.
Oh yeah, Dusty knows how to win. Yeah. Dusty's a winner. He's always been a winner.
Yes, he has.
And then he knows how to get guys to play for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I'm riding with them until the wheels come off. In the background, guess who they got? Guess who they also have? Oh. Yes. This is the $10 million question right there. Guess what other coach they have? I'll give you. You want a hint? You want a hint?
Yeah, go ahead.
October.
Oh, that's right, Reggie. Yeah. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, that's it. That's where he wound up. Yes.
Yeah. So they got two of the greatest of all time in the backfield, so to speak.
Well, speaking of that, since the Yankees they can't field, they can't hit. Mm-hmm. They just to show that they were doing something, they fired the hitting coach.
Yeah, it's all window dressing.
So I mean, come on. What exactly does a hitting coach do anyway? What can you tell them?
No, a hitting coach is very, very important, because a hitting coach can correct your swing, can improve your swing, can help you get better contact on the ball. No, a hitting coach is very, very important. it's not like he can at that level. It's not like it's really. I mean, if Reggie Jackson is, if you got some Rod Carew, I mean, some of the greatest hit, Ted Williams and some of the greatest hitters, they're coaching you how to hit. Oh, you're gonna be a better hitter if you take the advice. A hitting coach can make a
Well, no,
big difference.
nobody was better than Ted Williams. His bu-
Yeah,
his hand-eye coordination, they said, was unbelievable.
yeah. I mean, he made it a science.
Yeah.
Ted was making it a science, like MJ shooting or Jerry
Hmm.
West shooting.
Yeah.
That's what Ted Williams was with hitting. I mean, it was a science. It really was. He really took it
Yeah.
to a science because you can't get those kind of numbers without really studying the game. I mean, I've
Mm.
actually watched Ted on video describing hitting and how to hit and play ball placement, bat placement. It's a whole
Yeah.
science. And I said, well, that's why he's one of the greatest.
Yeah. And well, they also said he had incredible eyesight. They
Yeah, you gotta
said
have good eyes. Can't
because
see the ball, you can't hit it.
they said when he fought in the Korean War, his wingman said that he could see an enemy fighter like 50 yards before anybody else.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But I like to cover something that we have time.
Go
Did you
ahead.
get your whole three in? Did you get your three in?
For the most part, yes. Yes.
Well, you know me when it comes to Coach Prime.
Okay.
Coach Prime is. I think people are going to be incredibly surprised when they see him put out on that field. I mean, he's still bringing in coaches. He's still tweaking the formula. He's still bringing in talent. He's still. It's really amazing to watch
Well, he's got the
what he's doing.
juice.
What do you mean?
He's got the, he's people seem to are gravitating towards him, as
Oh
far as
yeah.
players going through the portal and all of that, so.
And well, there are people that can gravitate you to you. They're not necessarily the right people.
Yeah,
So
but he can point that out.
yeah, he's got. That's part of my point. He's got
Yeah.
great discernment. You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
know who's a fit, who's not a fit. When to even let some people go.
Yeah.
And that is really. I mean, I'm like watching. I'm watching him pull this off, and it's just like this is a master class. This is a master class of learning how
Mm.
to deal with youth and adults and corporations and businesses and
Mm.
how to keep the bar high, how to run your house. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
And really position things at such a high level. I mean, the way he's operating literally has the University of Colorado under pressure to figure out how long can we keep him.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
man, because I'm sure they're saying, shoot, Shiloh's out. He's basically on his way out, going
Hmm.
to pros, right? God willing,
Right.
everything else. Shador's got this year. Maybe he can get it. Hopefully, get it done. Maybe another year to get it
Hmm.
done, right? And then Shalomi on the basketball. But
Mm.
he may only be there 2 years, 3 years. He may have
Yeah.
given himself 3 years. My kids will be out of school. They'll be to the next level, and I'm done. And I'm done. I
Now
can
let
see
me
that.
ask
Mhm.
you this.
Two
If the
minutes. Okay.
if the NFL comes calling, you think he'll go?
Anything is possible. I don't think he will. And I had another friend ask me about that, and I said, "Well, if you look back at Prime's career, and when he left the game and was on the announce, he spent a lot of time with guys in the NFL,
Hmm.
and I think he's too old school, right?
Mm.
Um, to do it because these guys are making so much money. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And they don't get it. A lot of these, unfortunately, they don't know any history. I was watching cowboy highlights with Harvey Barton.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
these a lot of these players, not all of them, but a lot of them don't know how the money got like this. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care what sport it is. They have no idea that, some of the greats and the Hall of Famers in this game had to work two jobs. Like, if it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't for Kurt Flood, you wouldn't be making this kind of money. You know,
Yeah.
it, you know,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
TV
And you
didn't
wouldn't
kick
be able to
in.
go where you wanted to go either. Because
Now that is a whole other story, because that we're gonna finish next week about people seem to assume, Joe, that people of color have always been in the game, and we're not. We're very new to the stage, very new. And on
yeah.
that, Smarterfan podcast is checking out, people. Joe, good to see you, man. Next week, we got more for you on Smarterfan podcast. I let Joe run down the field 99 yards for the touchdown like Tony Dorsett. Next week, I'm coming back with some more stuff, and we're going to have some more fun on Smarterfan podcast. Love you guys. Talk to you and see you next week.
All right. Peace.
Smarterfan.